It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by Agile Dad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. It's Friday. It's time for our Agile, Not So Agile episode of the Daily Stand Up Podcast. And today I wanted to talk about 3 things we can do, keep it short and sweet, to be more effective listeners. Now, this topic is definitely agile related in a sense, but at the same time, I find that there's a huge difference between hearing someone and understanding someone. That was the whole reason the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus was written, right? Men tend to engage in hearing, where they want to hear what you have to say, and many times they like to try to solve an issue where women want typically for someone to listen and be more understanding and empathetic and figure out ways to help them well, not necessarily overcome, but work through the challenges that they're facing so that they can get through their personal situation. So, the quiz here is going to be what are the top 3 things that we can do to be better listeners? I'm going to start right at the top with number 1. Number 1 is show empathy and be empathetic. Don't try to judge. If you walk in and you're empathetic, that means that you're willing to listen and willing to learn how the person got in that situation, what's happening to them. You're willing to ask open ended questions and allow people to answer and really show an interest in what they're going through and help that person really see. There was a quote that one of my students told me. She said, "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." And I think this is a great opportunity for you to exhibit empathy and really engage and make sure you meet that person where they are. Which brings me to number 2, and that is make sure that once you're showing empathy, that you do have a clear understanding of what's going on. Now, whether that's asking open ended questions, whether that's really trying to, take a step back and maybe do some paraphrasing to ensure that you understand what's going on, whether it's taking a lead in a conversation and isolating and making sure that that person knows that you're invested in them and their personal situation. There's just so many things that you can do to make certain that the person on the other end of the listening stick is really in tune with what you are trying to do. So for me, being empathetic and also, making sure you understand are 2 critical pieces of what we're trying to do. So the final step, once you've taken the time and once you said, okay, I've used my time and energy and I have exhibited empathy. I know who they are and I know why they feel that way. And once you've taken time to understand the issue and ask the open ended questions and use paraphrasing and use skills to make sure that you figure out what's going on, the final thing you need to do is don't always try to solve the problem. I think that too often, or more often than not, male, female, indifferent, we go into a conversation trying to, as a listener, with a subset of what can I do to make a difference? And while being of service to others is a positive trait and something that we all should exhibit, I don't know that we're always looking for a solution. I think more times than not, when people are having conversations, they want to really get they want to really get through the problem themselves. They want to do some analysis. They want to figure out solutions. They don't want someone to come in with their solutions. They want to be able to be empowered to solve their own solutions. And it reminds me in the Disney movie Luca, Silenzio Bruno. You can't be the voice inside of someone's head. You've got to make sure that you take a step back and that you understand and that you really process what's been given to you and that you don't just walk in with a solution. Now, many people ask me, how do I know when to provide an answer and how do I know when not to provide an answer? I can tell you, guilty as charged. I've been here. I've had times where my wife has told me a whole situation, and I'm like, wow, that's horrible. And she goes, what are you going to do about it? And I was like, whoa, I wasn't keeping track at that level, right? I've had other times where I'm taking copious notes, figuring out what I'm going to do. And the second she's done, I'm like, all right, now here's our plan. And she's like, well, I don't want a plan. I just wanted to make sure I could get it off my chest. I wanted you to listen. So I think it's important for us to be able to identify when to listen and when to solve. And sometimes that's as simple as, hey, should I be taking notes? Is this something I'm going to have to follow up on? Or sometimes it's, hey, are you trying to bounce ideas off of me? Or is this something where you're looking for me to help you formulate some brainstorming? And I think that if you just ask those questions, they're not found offensive. A lot of times people just say, no, I just want to bounce the idea off of you. Or sometimes people say, well, yeah, I'm hoping you'll be able to help me solve the problem. So being upfront and honest, showing that upfront trait of being transparent and focused and open in your communications is going to help you really, really take this a long way. So I hope that you can be a better listener, and I hope that you can do this with your children, with your spouse, with your coworkers, and that your life can be more fulfilled because you've learned the art of listening. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and I hope you have an amazing weekend. We'll look forward to seeing you on Monday. Until then, stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.